Have you been looking for your keys to success? You have found the best place to start. We will hear from professionals on different keys to success in building huge careers in and outside the mortgage industry. These conversations that each person will share their experience will allow you to hear nuggets on finding your keys to success. I'm your host, SueMeitner, so let's get started and grab your keys. Okay, welcome everyone to Grab Your Keys. I am happy today to have a good friend, another entrepreneur, another peer of the Entrepreneurs Organization with me, Emily Morgan. She is the visionary and a CEO of All Things Delegated and also a #1 best-selling author of Let It Go. So Emily, welcome to Grab Your Keys.
Thank you, Sue. It's great to be here in your cool podcast room.
So I know we have so much to talk to and unpack today, but why don't you tell our audience and everyone what All Things Delegated does?
Well, the company is called Delegate Solutions, and our tagline is All Things Delegation because we really try and keep delegation like at the heart of what we're delivering. So from our service to our learning to my book to the coaching and consulting we do, we really help entrepreneurs figure out what to delegate and how to delegate and help put systems in place for them to do that. And we also have a service line side of business where the team is there to act as their dedicated assistant when they're ready to hand those things off, and just try and get out of the weeds each day.
How does someone know that they need help?
Usually, and people are telling you it's less that they don't know, it's more that they either won't commit to a solution or don't know what the kinds of options are that are out there. So, we're working on a new tool called the Resource Clarity Filter, where you can actually take an assessment and help determine what kind of resource is the right fit for what you need. Because there's so many things, but I think it starts with making a commitment to delegation and starting to identify things that you can hand off your plate.
Yeah, so when people hand things off their plate, what other things do they find they can work on?
Right. So our whole philosophy is that delegation starts with understanding what you want to spend your time on instead of usually the inverse, which is where most people start, which is, I hate doing this, help me get this off my plate. While that's useful information, what it doesn't do is typically create any sort of result because the time that you're freeing up through delegation is just getting refilled with other things that you would be doing instead rather than sort of reallocating the time to work on what we call your most impactful contribution, which is really what you're here to do, what you're called to do, what you're great at, what you love doing and energizes you.
Right. So, what do you feel? I mean, you've been greatly successful. What do you feel your 3 keys to success have been?
Um, I mean, this is sort of my thoughts on it, but I think authenticity, collaboration, and learning with execution. Um, I show up who I am, how I am in any situation. So I've always lived with this sort of idea that unless I wanted something on the front page of the New York Times, I'm not going to do it or say it. So
Right.
that sort of has translated my whole professional career. Um, and then the second one was collaboration. So rather than trying to just do everything on my own, either through other great partners, um, creating things that are new and interesting in our space has been part of what's made us successful for me
Right.
in particular. And then one of the things that my peers have always told me is that I'm not just good at the learning, but I'm really great at the execution. So many entrepreneurs I know are like, love learning, but it's really nothing without execution and being able to galvanize a team around a change or an idea. So
Yeah, so let's unpack those three just a little bit deeper. So being authentic, I believe in being authentic is really your truest self.
Yep.
So if you have someone who is having a difficult time being authentic, what would you tell them they could like the first step of being like true to themselves, I think is the most important thing of being authentic. What do you what, how would you help someone learn to be a little bit more authentic?
I don't even actually think I have a good answer to that.
I know you really I was as I was saying it, I was like, I think it just comes naturally
Yeah.
if you are an authentic person. And I think being authentic is something that is priceless in today's culture.
Right. So I think that's really the essence of it is that I don't think it's the norm, and I'm not really sure why that's not the norm, other than maybe general insecurity or sort of lack of clarity of who you are and why that matters. But like for me, like even from a core values standpoint at our business, like we're all about, doing what you say and being professionally authentic and showing up as your true self at all times. So we've baked that into the DNA of the business.
Yeah, for sure. And then collaboration works with that. When you're collaborating with people, you have to be authentic with them.
Yep.
And I love collaboration. So I do agree that in delegation or anything, and especially in systems and processes, which is something that you are obviously working on in executive function that you need to work with collaboration with others because as a leadership level, you have to collaborate.
Yeah. I've always been like I'm not an entrepreneur that you can put in a room and just sit there by myself. I'm an introvert, so I love being alone. But when it comes to like producing things, I always prefer to do it in collaboration with others. And
Right.
as we're trying to grow, I'm thinking outside of what can I bring to the table that might fit well with what someone else does that we can introduce to the market. So we've been
Right. I
doing
love that.
we have one of those actually launching this month, later this month.
Well, that's so exciting. With regards to learning and execution, obviously you executed in writing a book,
Mm,
um, Let It Go, and that is helps people learn. Really, the most important part of letting it go, especially for an entrepreneur, you don't want to work in your business as much as you want to work on your business.
right.
So, and that goes for every job known to mankind. What would you say is the key to learning and execution?
Discipline and surrounding yourself with other disciplined people that you can, I think entrepreneurs by nature are really great at galvanizing and getting
Mhm.
people excited about their ideas. So I don't think like we struggle there. But what happens and what we've seen in the delegation landscape is when we're constantly living in like ideation and we're sharing all these ideas and we're excited all the time, the team enjoys that energy, but at the same time, they're living in execution and they're sort of like reeling at another idea and another change and all this. And so it creates this friction across the team. So I think surrounding yourself with disciplined people to help you execute or bringing you a disciplined framework or and helping you with that follow through if you're weak in that way um, is really the missing piece when it comes to all this learning that we love to do.
Yeah, I always think it's and I realize this that I what I'm great at is the ideas.
Mhm.
And it's really important and that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are great at is the ideas. But
Yep.
it's really important that I have all the things is to know what I'm not good at
Mm.
and then have great people backing me and working with me who are so good at the things that I'm weak in
Yes.
and that really and that like just boosts the whole entire team up so it raises everyone to another level and I believe that is where you meet success is when you have a great team of strong individuals and strong and with differences than you.
Yeah, and united around a vision and united around what priorities are. I think, a system like EOS, different operating systems like that, in immediately bring a level of discipline to the conversation because you're setting rocks and like,
Yes.
everyone's focused. So,
Yeah, that's so true. Who do you admire?
yeah, I was thinking about this and I I'm going to go with Diane Sawyer, which
Yeah.
is like a funny a funny choice, but I just love that she's calm, collected, poised, professional. Like she shows up in a very authentic way that people trust her.
Yes.
Um, and that's by design and that's part of her DNA. But I just like respect her as a successful woman that I look up to.
Yeah, that's a great answer. We have not had anyone say Diane Sawyer yet, so
I'm sure.
I love hearing, and we've had lots of off the chart crazy ones. So they are good. They are really Diane Sawyer is a great one.
Yeah.
Um, if you were going to be in a different profession, I mean, you've been in other professions, but what profession do you feel, you would be in if it wasn't being, the amazing author and CEO that you are?
Well, if I had a reverse button in my life, I would be an interior designer.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, but it's always just been like a passion of mine instead of like trying to turn it into a business. So,
Mm-hmm.
I would do that, and then my future self, I'm working on becoming a lavender farmer. So, like
Oh, I
having
love that.
yeah, so having a lavender farm here on our property and like building that kind of business is sort of my next chapter, I
Yeah, that's super fun. I
guess.
love I can't wait to see the pictures that because I always think lavender farms are so pretty.
Yes. I mean, it takes
So
about 3 years once you get the plants in the ground, so it's a ways off.
sometimes nothing was Rome was not built in a day.
Exactly.
So, what's in the future for Emily
Yeah, I mean,
besides being a lavender farmer?
that's a big part of it. I mean, my son is graduating next year, so, like, our life dynamic is going to change and we have I think I've shared with you, we have sheep and chickens and dogs and cat, and so there's a lot of things going on just in our home that we're having to manage, so trying to build out a small business here on our property is what's next.
Yeah, that's awesome. You touched on being a mom entrepreneur.
Mhm.
That's a challenge at times, a positive challenge. But how, and your son's, older now, older teens. How has that been in building businesses and doing all the things that your heart, desires business wise while also being a mom?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I started my business. So when my son was born, within 6 months is when I started Delegate, so 16 years ago, essentially, and it was really about making sure that I was creating a life where I was present for my son, um, and taking the skills that I had, and at this point, the virtual assistant industry was brand new and, like, we were building the plane as we were flying it, and so I wound up over the course of, a couple of years becoming a single mom, so I raised him as a single mom while I was building this business over the last decade. We've like I said, we've been around 16 years, so from the age of the business from like 4 till recently, I was a single mom. So for me, what it brought me was some boundaries because of my time. Like I did not have time to work more than I could work. So that was kind of
Yeah.
nice.
So how did you, because I know lots of moms are listening, how did you build those boundaries?
They were built for me. So, I mean, my son would go to school, I would start working. I had like a home nanny type person that she was a high schooler, but she
Yeah.
would sit with him until like 5 and then I would stop and I didn't have a choice because I had to make dinner, I had to do all the activities like so it just created boundaries for me. Before he was younger, I was I would work till like 3 in the morning and then I would go to sleep and get up, and I would go to a job, and I was doing this on the side, and, like, it was all one crazy thing, and there's no way I could have sustained that as a single parent.
Yeah, no, and I do think that when you build boundaries, it really allows you to have greater parental control. And
Mhm.
what I felt was the most difficult, and I didn't work from home, was I felt that it was hard for me to go from manager to mom, like in
Mm,
7 minutes. I just felt like I was, because sometimes I would walk in and I'd be like managing my house, but I was like, no, I need to mom my house, not manage my house.
yeah.
And you always do what's comfortable to you. And I had to make a conscious effort to be more of the mom,
Mhm.
and not be a manager.
Well, I work with entrepreneurs, so half the time it's like we're their moms,
Right.
so isn't that different?
Right, right. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, we're going to have all of your contact information below. What is your perfect client?
Mm. So our perfect client is a visionary leader who has tons of ideas, tons of energy for their ideas, but does not have the capacity either within their current assistant, within their integrator, within their team overall, or within themselves to take these ideas and turn them into something. So our new service line is all about being an idea lab for you to take your ideas. We're going to coach you to figure out which ones to focus on over the next 90 days, get you to commit so that there's some level of like traction happening. We're not just ideating all over the place, and then move them forward in 90-day delegation sprints so that you're making actual progress, and it can be personal or professional, but essentially you've run out of who's to delegate to. That's where we come in.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I have appreciated your friendship. And I love what you're doing at your home with all of your livestock and your lavender farm. And I just think that you're a badass business person and mom. So I think that that's amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for all of your knowledge that you chatted with us about today. And everyone, if you love this, please share it with your friends. We love for all of our entrepreneurs to really get all the keys to success that there are. And we appreciate you being on Grab Your Keys and listening to Grab Your Keys. Have a great day.